All right, we have another movie in 2024, and this is good. Hello, everyone. My name is Max Aaron James. This is a review of the movie Origin, written and directed by the great Ava DuVernay. This movie is inspired by the book Caste, The Origins of Discontents, written by Isabel Wilkerson. This follows her in her life and her journey and her experiences as she gets the idea for this book and learns about the book and journeys through life, processing grief, walks us through the journey of other people's lives and understanding the system that we are living in and dealing with and how it's been twisted and contorted and we are not fully getting the full picture of it, and kind of exploring just an aspect of what it is that has created such division in our world, particularly in the United States. Before I really get into my thoughts about this movie, I would like to point out that Ava DuVernay has been recognized well before 2018 for being a good director. I mean, she was so much that she had earned the title or getting her name put into the trailers and marketing for A Wrinkle in Time that came out in 2018. It would say directed by Ava DuVernay, a film by Ava DuVernay. Her name was propped up there. And that's not something that's given to any director. Of course, you have to earn it. Ryan Coogler, for example, did not get his name presented when Creed came out or when the first Black Panther came out. It wasn't until Wakanda Forever that it said a film by Ryan Coogler or from Ryan Coogler. So here, when Wrinkle in Time came out, produced, presented, or distributed by Disney, that her name was put out. Yes, because she is a Black woman, like Hollywood often does, she was given this one opportunity with a large studio such as Disney and given one shot to impress people, at least particularly financially. The movie was not great critically, and it pretty much failed at the box office. And because of that, she pretty much disappeared and we did not hear much about her. Her name wasn't even mentioned anywhere up until now. Don Bluth, David Gordon Green, Ron Howard can continuously give us flop after flop after flop and continuously fail at the box office and with critics, and still be given so many opportunities to still work in Hollywood and be in certain positions and getting so many opportunities to continuously give us pieces of shit. Yet we have so many other filmmakers, particularly filmmakers of color or women filmmakers, who are put into director's jail for messing up once. The movie starts off, with Trayvon Martin, or at least, a reenactment of the night Trayvon Martin was murdered. From there, we go on to see Isabel Wilkerson and pretty much the beginning of the journey to the book that would end up being Caste, The Origins of Discontents. The book is called Caste, The Origins of Discontents. I do not want to say that wrong. The movie, for the most part, has pretty good pacing. The directing is well done. This exploration was very interesting, going through the journey and education of how the world has devised a system and placed people into caste, and always choosing a particular group of people to be at the bottom while the very few are at the top. In the case of the United States, and I would say probably Western Europe as well, it is people of color, Black people in particular. And then in other places such as India, there are Dalits. And then they even present the Nazis putting Jewish people at the bottom. And there's the exploration of how the United States, a lot of what they did is what inspired the Nazis to do what they did with the Jewish people, and how connected it is, the Nazis with the United States of America. And during Wilkerson's journey, we also see what she's dealing with in her own life, losing people that she loved, losing a few people in her life that she loved so much, while having to also present a book to her publisher, being given, deadline expectations because work goes on no matter what happens to you in your personal life. And a lot of it's pretty heavy. A lot of it really hits home, at least how it's presented, it really hits home. And it was pretty good. It was well executed. Anjanou Ellis Taylor, I hope I pronounced her name correctly, does a fantastic performance, does great at leading the story. I am interested every time she's on screen. She's able to keep us intrigued, especially when presenting dialogue and interacting with other characters. I would say my issue with the movie has to do with over-explanation of some parts. I would say the subtlety is good enough with some information that is presented to us, but then we're given a backstory or a story as an explanation of what the person means, or extending a scene longer than it needs to be to make sure that it really hits home to the audience, or that making sure everyone in the audience understands it. At least that's how I took it. I felt that some of the messages did not have to be pushed so often, and I understood it immediately and I was ready to move on. Because of that, there were a couple moments where it felt like the journey was at a pause, taking a pause just to really hit something home. And I think if those were removed, the pacing of this movie would have been persistent. And if you move those out the way, for the most part, this movie is pretty well paced and does not feel as long as it is. Most of this movie runs pretty smoothly, and especially when it goes from beat to beat, and DuVernay's really able to just move along and get the story rolling and rolling. So a lot of the moments that did feel like a pause were not strong enough or grand enough, or did not happen often enough to really take me out of the story. I was still intrigued, still interested, but that is what would be more noticeable if I go watch it a second time, because now that I know what's going to happen, there's those little things that you spot. So the movie may feel longer going in the second time, and I think those are the things that I would cut out for this movie. Overall, though, I think a lot of people should watch this movie. I think it's very educational. I think as far as just a story-wise, it's very heartwarming, at the same time pretty sad. Still, I think there's a lot you can learn from it, as far as just being a person and a human being, and seeing how connected we all are as people, or as a species. Until next time, y'all take care of each other. Make sure you check up on one another. Make sure you check up on yourself. And remember, potential has no limit.